All right, everybody, welcome back to episode number 4 of New Wave Media. My name is George Padilla, your host, and I'm here with our co-host, Elijah.
What's up, y'all?
How's it been going, man? It's been a while since we've been on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been about a week.
Yep. That's a while for me.
Hey, man, it feels like a long time.
It definitely is a long time.
Things are going good, man. Staying busy.
Yeah, man. The last time we podcasted, we talked about like some weddings and stuff coming up for both of us and shoots. And
you had your first wedding of the first official wedding of the season.
So technically, this is my third wedding of the year,
Doesn't
but
count.
it's my first wedding that kicks off the wedding season.
Yeah.
And
How'd it go? Tell us about it.
Dude, you know what? It went really, really well. So I photographed their engagement back in like October of last year. And then finally their wedding came up April 29th, Saturday. And it was at Lakeside Gardens in Portland, Oregon. And dude, fantastical kind of day.
Fantastical.
The lighting was amazing.
Yeah.
The scenery was great.
Yeah.
The couple was awesome. And the guests, every one of them was just fun to hang out with.
Cool.
I got there around 4 p.m. We did, the videographer and I did a couple drone shots, went around, just got some detailed stuff. And we didn't really start actually shooting until about 5 p.m.
Okay.
And then the day just kind of went pretty smooth from there. Like we had the reception, the ceremony at, I want to say, was it 6:30? So by the time it was 7 going into 7:30, it was like golden hour.
Oh,
it was
baby.
Beautiful. Man, those photos were so great.
Is that when you did their formals?
Yeah, and one thing that I really liked is the fact that they were like very, very 100% open to like me guiding them through their wedding. For example, like right now is the perfect time. We're going to skip family photos, but we're going to do this instead because this is why. And they're like, great, let's do it.
Cool.
And I just had control, like full control over what happened photography wise. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, don't get married here, instead get married. Like I'm not going to do all that.
So that actually brings up an interesting question for you. In your experience in wedding photography, do you feel that you are given like do you feel like you're consistently given like a level of control around the timeline in a wedding day? Because the reason I ask, and for anybody who may be getting married or anybody who may be involved in wedding planning, as a photographer, it feels like the photographer should really have a big part in planning that timeline, because at the end of the day, like the day is going to be what the day is going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time or it's going to be a horrible time, whatever it is. Usually it's a good time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what you're going to remember that day with is those photos. Like at the end of the day, the wedding photographer is one of the most important people that's in that room. And the timeline and making sure that the photographer gets the opportunity to give input to create the best photos possible, I think is very important.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel like you get enough control in that department when you're working with your clients?
So here's kind of how I see it. I would love to have a lot of control over. Let me break this down.
Okay, break it down for
when
me,
it
George.
comes down to the couple creating a timeline or the wedding planner creating a timeline, usually I don't involve myself with creating a timeline. However, I always say like I would love to give my input once the timeline is ready.
Right.
And like 90% of the time, they'll send it to me, I give input, and they'll make some changes.
Cool.
However, I'm usually pretty open about the timeline. Whatever timeline you have, I feel pretty comfortable with that. However, I've said however many times already. Anyways, so when the day comes and the timeline is there and we're following the timeline, then I want to have the creative control based on the timeline, but I want to have the creative control with locations.
Okay.
Suggestions on the day, because I can just say like, hey, 7:00 is a great time, let's do photos. But like 7:30 was golden hour. So
do you ever get any pushback there, like in terms of creative control over like location and that kind of thing? Do you ever get pushback?
You know what? I do get pushback, but not from the couple. I've only ever No, I've only ever gotten pushback from the parents
Oh God.
or like a cousin or aunt. You know what I mean? Like
somebody who thinks that they've got the golden
it's like,
ideas.
hey, these flowers over here look great. And like, yeah, you're right. But like right now the sun is beaming down directly on them. So
Right.
like, how about we instead go over here where the shade is at?
Yeah.
And these will be better. Plus there's green backdrop. And like when that happens, the way I handle that is like, hey, that's a great idea. Let me take some photos here first, and then we'll go there.
Okay.
And I do that because, one, I get to get what I want. And then, two, I'll get what they want. But then when they get what they want, I show them in the back of the camera. I'm like,
Right.
hey, this is how they're turning out here. So, just so you know, that it's not going to be a good fit or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But after I've already gotten what I wanted.
Okay.
It usually works out. I don't think
So-
I've ever gotten pushback that way.
Okay. So you would say that you get a level of control that you're comfortable with more often than not.
Correct.
Cool. That's awesome.
What happens with you? Like, what have you, how do you handle that or how much?
I would say that I'm pretty similar. I will usually wait until I'm presented with a timeline. But oftentimes I have clients that'll ask me like, hey, when's the best time to do family photos? When's the best time to do our formal photos? Should we do a first look? What are your thoughts on a first look?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on a first look? Actually, from not from a like a symbolic perspective, but from a time-based, like photography-based standpoint. What is your for those who may not know, a first look at a wedding? There's kind of two ways you can do it. Either the bride and groom can see each other for the first time as they walk down the aisle, as the bride walks down the aisle, because the groom generally is up there first.
Yeah.
Or they can do a first look before the ceremony where they see each other and they, generally it's a pretty emotional moment. They'll see each other, they'll cry, they'll laugh, they'll interact, and it's kind of a big moment. And so for those who don't know, that's what a first look is. So what is your opinion? From a photographic standpoint, do you think that a first look is best?
Yeah. So in my opinion, I think that first looks are 90% there. Like I want them 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Based on location.
Okay.
90% of the time, it always happens and I want it to happen. But the way that I do it is like, I love first looks. I like getting that moment, the groom turns around, looks at the, soon to be wife, and they're very emotional moments. Like,
yeah, huge.
A good 70 to 80% of the grooms will fucking cry.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know why I just cussed.
Watch your mouth, George. It's
They
a family podcast.
They will just cry.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
However, I really also like getting them coming down the aisle. The way that I do it is I'm always in front where the groom is at, looking down the aisle when the bride comes down.
That's interesting.
Then, as the bride gets close to the end of where the people are sitting, I will run my ass to the end and shoot through the crowd behind the bride, where the groom is literally between the bride and whoever's walking her down the aisle.
Okay.
I have many photos like that.
Interesting.
My favorite photos to get is you'll see the crowd like out of focus, the bride out of focus in the middle.
Yeah.
So the foreground, the middle is the bride, next to the dad or grandpa, whoever it is, and then in focus is the groom.
Okay.
In between the two people walking down the aisle.
Yeah.
And like 99% of the time,
He's crying.
it's either crying, emotional, a weird face, like happy, like
Right.
something that you're not expected to capture.
Interesting.
And that's my favorite to capture. So
I cover that a little bit differently, but I also like to go for like a similar shot. I actually
have a video on my YouTube that I want to show you later. Yeah, I'm sure you've already seen it.
Perhaps we can link it in the show notes.
I'll link it down below. It's a little quick short. It's
Okay.
a YouTube short that I put on my other channel, but it's literally me behind the scenes on a GoPro on the top of my camera. And I'm taking, snapping. Boom, go to the front. She's walking down the aisle. And then boom, as soon as she hits the corner, I go to the back and shoot in between, and I capture him with his emotions. And this was even after the first look.
That's awesome.
And it happens so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's a that moment where you can capture the groom seeing his bride walking down the aisle is I think it's an underrated shot.
Absolutely.
I think that a lot of people really, really, really focus on the bride when she's walking down the aisle. Mm-hmm. And I kind of split the difference. So I will generally hang out in the aisle or around the aisle during the beginning of a ceremony.
Yeah.
If I'm the only shooter, I'll be kind of in the center. I'll hang out at the front, kind of like you were talking about. But when I know that the bride is coming, I move to the back. I shoot her as she comes in the door or around the corner or whatever, as she is revealed to the crowd, I shoot her. Mm-hmm. And then basically I will stay kind of at the back of, I will stay kind of at her back. And my objective is to get over her shoulder right as the groom sees her. Okay. And I get that shot. I get kind of that, like, you see kind of like the silhouette of her head on the edge of the frame.
Oh,
and then you see the groom over her shoulder.
Interesting.
Super emotional. I have a couple shots that I can show you.
I guess we have a similar.
It's same but different.
It's same but different. Yeah, because I like to get whoever's walking down the aisle with them.
Right.
And so the groom is like in between them.
Yeah, and that's a cool way to frame it too. It's a frame within a frame.
Exactly. Hey. And that's why I do it, because it's like it creates like this out of focus people.
Right.
Bringing in the groom in there. So.
Do you know what I'm kind of excited about while we're on the topic of wedding photography?
Yeah, what's up?
We have 2 weddings this summer.
2 weddings.
2 weddings that we're shooting together. I'm second shooting for you, to be specific.
Yeah, that's true.
That's exciting.
That is exciting. We've only ever done that one other time, but it wasn't really second shooting.
It was Capturely.
Yeah, it was for a third party.
Well, and this is too. This is for Lily and Lime.
Oh, correct.
Yeah. So I'm your second shooter for 2 Lily and Lime. Oh, wait, no.
Sound Originals.
And Lily and
it's
Lime. Not
yeah.
Lily and Lime. I'm the lead shooter.
For those of you out there that don't know, like 90% of the weddings, let me rephrase that. So 100% of the weddings we do, that makes no sense.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to figure out like.
Okay, I think I know what you might be trying to say. A percentage of the weddings that we shoot every year, we shoot for a contracting company.
Correct.
Basically, like you can go to there are a bunch of services. If you're a photographer, this might be something that you need to know. There's a bunch of services that you can go to and sign up as a photographer. And basically, people will go to them and be like, "I need a wedding photographer," and then they will outsource it to you.
Exactly.
But they pay you their rate.
Yeah,
it's generally an hourly rate.
Exactly.
You don't do any editing, and it's
straight upload.
I mean, it's turn and burn. It is.
These are 100%. Not your clients.
No.
These are not your. You don't represent yourself. You represent another company. You're a contractor.
Exactly. You are representing
so what I'm saying is,
a
like,
different company.
We have like 80-90% of our weddings that are our own, and then there's like that 10-15% of other wedding.
For me, honestly, just for the sake of transparency, this year 90% of my weddings, I'm a contractor. I have a few of my own this year, which is cool. I'm super excited for that. I booked one today. A client. In fact, the last episode that we dropped, I was on the next thing I had after that episode was a meeting with a potential wedding client, and she signed her contract and paid her deposit.
You were here for that meeting right before we recorded.
It was right after we recorded.
Oh, it was after? Okay.
Yeah, we were talking, because in the last episode, I'm talking about, hey, today I have a meeting at 3 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So we finished that episode, and then like an hour later, I had that meeting or something like that. And that meeting went super well. She ended up, she was originally thinking she was going to do a 6-hour package. She ended up booking an 8-hour package, which is awesome. That's a big upgrade in my pricing structure. That's a great upgrade that works really well for me. I was a little bit flexible with her. Normally in a 6-hour or an 8-hour or 10-hour package, that's like wedding coverage period. But their wedding structure is a little bit weird.
So I actually, Here I go again. Interrupting.
Always.
I'm gonna let you
Bro,
finish.
shout out to my mom because my mom was.
Why
telling-
is he always
my mom-
interrupting?
My mom was like, "Bro, George interrupts you way too
I
much."
know. I'm so sorry.
It's
Go ahead.
okay. It's okay. What were you gonna say?
Well, because I have this thing in my head that if I can't say it right now, I'm gonna forget it.
Yeah, it's ADHD. It's undiagnosed ADHD, George.
You think so?
I'm calling it out right now. That is your undiagnosed ADHD.
So I was gonna say like, damn, what was I gonna say?
I don't know,
What were we talking about?
bro. So I'm gonna go on with what I was saying.
Okay, yeah, because I forgot.
So their wedding structure. This.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
Okay, cool. What were you gonna say,
Here
George?
we go. I feel bad for interrupting.
Just tell me what you're gonna say.
Okay, so my glasses are fogging up because I'm getting nervous.
Bro, this guy.
So, I literally forgot. I seriously.
I actually.
Just go.
This is the worst episode we've ever.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm just kidding.
I just have that ADHD that's undiagnosed.
Okay. So their wedding structure is a little bit different. Where basically they booked an 8-hour package, but they have a 3-hour ceremony and a 3-hour reception. Well, a 3-hour ceremony and like a 3-hour cocktail hour type of thing. And then it's way out in the gorge. And then we're going to take a break. We're going to drive back to Portland. And then they have they're going to have like 2 hours of coverage at their reception, which they're doing in the community room at this like high rise apartment that they live in the south waterfront of downtown Portland.
That's gonna be so nice.
It's going to be really cool. And so what I did is I quoted them for an 8-hour package. And I was like, look, we'll do 7 hours of coverage, which includes my hour of travel from Cascade Locks back to Portland.
Yeah.
And then I'll do, or no, it doesn't include that. I'm just kidding. We'll do 6 hours of coverage there. And then I'll do 2 hours of coverage at the community room and I'll handle the travel. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's like I think for me, for my pricing structure, if I remember correctly, it's about a $500 upgrade to go from 6 hours to 8 hours. And that $500 is part of that is going to be spent traveling.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty stoked.
That's awesome.
I'm like really stoked on that.
I've done that in the past. So actually, one of the weddings that you're covering for me is which is the Tuesday client,
Right.
That we're gonna go look at the venue with. They only got a 5-hour package, so I don't do 5 hours. I do 6, 8, or 10.
Right, but you also do a la carte.
But I also do a la carte, which is super cool because they were able to pick and choose whatever they wanted and whatnot. And so they did 5 hours. But then they messaged me and they were like, hey, could we only do 4 hours instead? And then like pay you for the 1 hour to do our engagement session. And then like the price difference from a financial, like it makes more sense. One, I get paid more if it's just a 5 or a 6 hour session.
Sure.
But I was like, hey, why don't you just do the 5-hour session? But I'll just take 1 hour away and then put it towards your engagement. And then I won't even charge you for travel wherever it is. Like, I just wanted to fluff it up because I wanted them to pay the better pricing because one, it benefits me, but also they get kind of a little bit of extra
better
stuff,
rate. Yeah.
So that's what I did. Cool. I was like, hey, she got the 5-hour package. I was like, perfect. In the contract, in the description, I said, hey, 4 hours is going towards your wedding. And one of those hours is going to your engagement. Okay. And we didn't even end up traveling anywhere far. It was actually just down the street at the waterfront in Milwaukee. So
that's where it's at?
No, not the wedding.
Oh,
but
for their
engagement. Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, their wedding's not too far from here either.
Cool.
It's like a 7-minute drive from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. And I'm shooting that one for you.
You are shooting that one for me.
What a lot of trust.
So here's the thing. I double booked. I shouldn't have, but I did. And then I was like, well, kind of makes sense for me because I'm like, one, I want you to get paid.
Sure.
I want to bring you and anyone else along, but I'd rather pay people that I know. Two, I also get paid.
Yeah.
And three, you don't have to edit. You just upload it and that's it. Boom, you're out.
Yeah.
And the rate's better than most, third-party companies. It's
way better
out there.
than a lot of those third parties.
Yeah. One, we all get to eat.
Yeah.
But I also get paid because I have to do all the editing and do all that other stuff, communication and all that. So Yeah.
Well, cool.
And I hope you do the same. Like, if you ever double book,
I'm absolutely.
you got a photographer here.
Never gonna hire you.
Sweet.
I would never do that.
So you'll get a 4-star rating with Canon products.
Exactly. I don't want to hire you because I'll get lackluster reviews. Just kidding. I'm just joking. Anyway, well, cool. I'm excited to hear that your first wedding went really well.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited that
yours is coming up. That kicks off the wedding season too.
Yeah, my first wedding of the season is this Saturday at a venue that I have wanted to shoot at for years, dude.
What is this venue again?
It is the Empress Estate, which I believe you said you've shot
I've been
there.
there. Yeah, there's like a mansion there, but
That's
you don't
like,
actually go in the mansion.
Right, but the outdoor shots of the mansion and in the gates,
you'll
and all
get
that,
those for sure.
That is what everybody wants to shoot that venue for,
Yeah.
and I've seen so many amazing weddings shot there. In that, so I had a meeting today with the. So I'm a second photographer on that one, and I had a meeting today with the lead photographer, the lead videographer, the planner, and somebody from the company that I'm shooting for.
I know exactly who. So the lady with the glasses was the wedding planner?
Yeah, her name's Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had that meeting with them today, and none of them had even heard of this venue. And I told them a little bit about it during that meeting, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, this is going to be beautiful! I can't wait to see these pictures."
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that. It's a pretty standard 8-hour wedding. They don't really care about details. They don't really care about.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're just like, we just want pictures.
Are they like older couple?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know their ages. It is a Jewish wedding.
Okay.
I've never shot a Jewish wedding, so they're going to be doing some traditional Jewish stuff in that wedding, which is going to be exciting.
It's
like the chair dance and the plate smash.
They're fun, dude. I think Jewish weddings are fun. There's some Russian weddings I've done that were like probably the best of the best. Like
really,
those they know how to party.
You want to know some real shit though?
Yeah, what's up?
Black weddings are fucking lit.
They get crazy.
Oh, bro, they're so much fun. So much fun.
I don't know if I've done too many.
Okay, well,
but
clearly we know where your clientele is.
No,
I'm joking.
So I did a like a Nigerian wedding.
Oh, that's cool.
And they had which we'll get to the topic of this because I love trying new foods from different cultures.
Oh.
And that was one of the foods I got to try last year that I've never in my life have tried.
And you also love posting pictures of your food.
And I do. And it's in there. Like I just got to go to my archives, Okay.
Well,
it's I want to say it's like almost like Mexican food, but it's mushier in a way.
Whoa.
And it's
really
really
soft,
fucking good.
Like soft.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it's like very similar food styles. Like their mashed potatoes that they made. They're very similar to like the Mexican style like food that we make. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But it's just like
so they served Nigerian food at this wedding. That's really cool.
And then they had like a little section for like invitees that didn't want to try that. But I was like, I'm not gonna have the chicken. Like I'm gonna go over there. Like this is homemade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Indian food is good too.
Indian food is good.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways, cool. I deviated from what you were saying, but
that's okay.
I do that a lot.
I want you to talk to me a little bit about do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts.
Basically, like, what kind of stuff happens at weddings?
Do's and don'ts.
Oh my God, what's wrong with you?
Okay, go for it.
What kind of stuff happens to you in like? Okay, not even. Let me back up. As a vendor, as the hired help at a wedding, there's a lot of things that can happen for us that can either make our experience really good or make our experience a little bit more challenging, which ultimately kind of affects how effective, like how well we can do our job, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So what kind of stuff have you run into that has made your job harder? And what kind of stuff have you run into that has really made your experience 10 out of 10?
Yeah, so I would say a couple of the things that really... I'm going to start with the don'ts.
Yes.
Like, a couple of the things that I don't like happening when I'm at the wedding day and I'm going through about my day and, trying to do my job there. Don'ts are telling me or telling the photographers how to do their job.
Right.
And
Like, what do you mean by that?
so what I mean by that is like, if I'm photographing a couple in this area, there's a reason why I'm doing that. It's either
Right.
the shade, the sun, like whatever it is. This looks better in a composition
Right.
based off of what I think is the best.
Right.
However, there's the mom, the aunt, the uncles that are like, hey, can you go take a photo in here instead? This is going to look a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's like a bush with like beaming sun down and like 2 roses.
Right.
And I'm just like, you know what? Like I said earlier, I'd love to do that. Let me get this shot first and then I'll go there.
Yeah.
Just to get that out of their brain that I did what they wanted.
It is so next level customer service of you to even appease them in that way.
Well,
I mean,
I do that because I want to be respectful for my bride and groom's family.
Sure.
And when they're in front and they are seeing what's happening,
Yeah.
I would do that.
Okay.
But if I'm like in the venue and the couple is having their first dance and then like mama and papa or like grandpa and tells me, he's like, hey, you need to go there and do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. And like, I literally will go the opposite way on purpose
and go do your thing
and do my thing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's what I want to capture based on what I think is going to look best.
Right.
Because
That's what
they hired us for a reason.
Yeah, that's what we're there for.
And mom and dad don't know why they hired us. They
Right.
just hired us because they think they know what they're doing.
Right.
And so that being said, that's definitely a don't. Okay. I do not Photoshop people. I will not make you look skinnier.
Yeah.
I will not, like, yes, there's some exceptions. Like, hey, you know what? Like, I fell. I have a little bruise or like a cut on my cheek.
Sure, yeah.
Easy, of course.
Temporary. That's kind of my rule of thumb is if it's a temporary blemish, like
Yeah.
a scratch or, a bruise or a pimple even.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like, sure.
Like,
I'll retouch that.
I mean, how long does that really take us,
Man, what would you say the like amount of times you hear, you can make me look skinnier, right? You can make me look skinnier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no.
And I'm just like, like I laugh it off.
Yeah, I
I'm
laugh
like,
it off too. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, and then if they really keep pushing it, I'm like, well, I'm not I'm not a retoucher.
Right.
I'm just sorry. Let me rephrase that. I don't manipulate photos. I'm just retouching the colors. Is what I say.
Yeah, colors, exposure, and small blemish.
Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, I don't I don't manipulate the photos.
Yeah.
I could, I could look into that, but I'm not.
That's such a tough one too, man, because that comes from a place of insecurity. Mm-hmm. Like they know that there's a part of their look that they don't like. And they want you to be able to fix it. And like to an extent, like we can, through posing, through direction, we can mitigate some of that.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna warp your body.
Yeah. I'm not sure where that, I feel like I know where that comes from. That comes from like Instagram filters and all that.
Absolutely.
And like a lot of the people think we do filters,
right?
But we don't do filters. Yeah. We do like, it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
It may look like a filter.
Yeah.
It's not. Like we manipulate shadows exclusively, highlights. We do the exposure. Like
we
don't just
colors.
put a filter on top of the entire image.
Right.
We go to specific parts of the image.
And it's funny to think that some people believe that what we're doing. I mean, and I think some of it is like preset culture. Mm-hmm. Like a preset is kind of like a filter. Like in very basic terms, it's kind of like a filter, but there's so much more when you're at a certain level.
Yeah.
There's so much more to a preset than just click it and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Instagram, you post a story, you can swipe through all of these different filters, and those filters make your photo look a certain way. Mm-hmm. But the way that editing works for us, it's like you click a preset. If you use presets, a lot of people do, and that's totally cool. If you use a preset, you click it, and it's not just a one click, you're good to go most of the time.
It'll get you in that general direction.
Right.
And then from there, you'll manipulate the shadows and be like, hey, this preset worked great, but the shadows need to be lifted, lowered.
Right.
And then I might need to go with the highlights and this and that.
Exactly.
And then like that's like your base. Like the preset gets you where you need to go, but then you manipulate it from there.
So for me, the way that like my workflow is kind of built out, I have a preset that I have built based off of my camera and the way that I tend to expose images. And my preset will do, I have exposure's not in it. I have highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, all manipulated in my preset. And then I have a whole bunch of stuff that I've done with the tone curve in my preset. And I will apply that to pretty much, my preset kind of defines my style.
Yeah. And so your style is your starting point. That's what a preset is. It's a starting point.
It's stylistic. It is totally like, I want my image to look this particular way at the end of the day. But I apply that preset and then I have to tweak. Sometimes an image is exposed in such a way that I can click that preset and I'm like, cool, that's good. But at the end of the day, 90% of the photos, I apply the preset across the board. And then I make alterations after that. And that's great because it helps us efficiency-wise as photographers. It helps us get through the 1,000 images that we do in an 8-hour wedding. A 10-hour wedding, 1,500
and that's
images.
Not all the photos you shot. That's the cold images.
Exactly.
That's the images that you picked that were the best.
In an 8-hour day, we might shoot 2,000-3,000 images.
Yep.
And we'll deliver, I don't know what you deliver. Out of an 8-hour day, 8 to 10-hour day, I'll deliver somewhere between 800 and 1,200 images.
I say 1,200 is the average what I deliver with its 8+ hours.
Yeah. So, and it just depends. It depends on how much you shoot wherever you are, right? Like you don't want to send them a shit ton of duplicates, but but anyway, I'll just kind of blanket apply this style and then go through and make sure exposure's on point, shadows are on point, highlights are on point, whites are on point. And blacks are on point.
I wanted to, with the same topic of do's and don'ts, there's one thing that I want to also mention. If you're a couple, if you're looking to hire photographers, videographers, any creative to get your wedding to where you need it to be, a really, really big don't is, and here's the thing. In my contract, I have that I will eat right after the bride and groom.
Right.
Reason being is because when the bride and groom are done eating, usually they go into toasts or they get up and they start saying hi to everybody.
Right.
And we want to be there to take those photos.
100%.
But I just had this conversation with Eric, the videographer you're going to be with this weekend.
On Saturday,
Yeah. And we talked about it and I was like, hey, what are your thoughts on this, and that? And then he was like, hey, man, what are your thoughts on when we are supposed to eat last? Vendors eat last. I'm like, well, here's my opinion. Vendors, specifically photo video, need to eat first.
Agreed.
Because when we eat last, we're about to start eating when everybody else is done eating.
Right.
And then toast starts.
Right.
Bouquet toss, cake cutting, whatever it is, that is about to start and we're going to miss it. And then we will miss our lunch or dinner because we cannot go there while we're eating. So it's like, well, we need to stop eating and go get what we need to get hired for.
And any photographer, any creative, their instinct is going to be, well, fuck me. Like, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to cover this.
Exactly.
I'm going to do my job. I'm going to make sure that this is covered. I'll eat later. And then there's no time to eat later.
Waiters.
It is rapid fire. Once the bride and groom have eaten, it is rapid fire through the rest of the night.
Exactly. And so, like, if we don't eat, they'll take our plate away.
Yeah.
They think we're done, and we're not.
Right.
So, like, this is a true story. This happened last weekend.
Okay.
And Eric was there. And it's funny because as soon as the bride and groom, they usually prepare their food and they take it to them. And then I saw that, and there was a buffet thing. And then I told the videographer, Eric, I was like, hey, are you going to eat? And he said, yeah, man. I was like, all right, cool. And I immediately put my stuff away. He put his stuff away. And then I went to the buffet. And then just to be nice, I was like, hey, is this like a buffet style or like do they serve us to the lady? And then she looked at us and she's like, oh, you're a vendor. You have to wait for your table and you have to go to last. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. I immediately went to grab my plate and I started putting food on there. I did not give a one fuck about what the fuck she had to say because at the end of the day,
this is the planner?
No, not the planner. Sorry. The people in charge of the booth or the buffet.
Catering. Okay.
The catering. And then I was like, oh, okay, no worries. Got my plate.
Yeah.
I literally grabbed another plate and gave it to Eric.
Nice.
To symbolize or like let him know like we're fucking going right now. And I didn't give a one fuck about what the fuck she had to say, and I went through it all.
Nice.
And then as I was passing through her, I was like, "Oh, thank you so much," and like just being a dick. Because at the end of the day, my couple knows that they've been told this
Right.
prior to this.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat right after.
That's part of your consult.
You know?
That's one of the things
And
you
that's the
talk about
thing.
in the beginning.
Vendors think we need to go last.
Yeah.
And they have no idea about the contract.
Right.
And that's okay. They don't have to know. They don't need to know.
Yeah.
But we just all assume like, oh, because you're working, like, hey, wait to the end so everybody gets to eat.
Right.
Like, you're right, but not right now.
Yeah.
And I just go.
In my contract, I have it set up that there's two options. Either I eat when the bride and groom eat, so that I am on the same schedule as them, because that is how we should be.
Exactly.
Or when they eat, I take an hour and I go eat on the clock. Those
Yeah.
are the two options.
And that's exactly what I have.
99.999% of the time, I eat when they eat.
Exactly. On my contract, my wording says something like, hey, are you going to eat? Or sorry, we're going to eat as soon as the bride and groom eats.
Yeah.
If not, we're allocated to have 1 hour
Yep.
during the wedding.
Right. On the clock.
On the clock to go buy our own lunch, eat, and then come back.
Yeah. My contract basically says the same thing, but the other thing that it says is that I have the right to invoice them for the meal that I do go eat during that time.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's something I need to add to mine.
That is something you should add to yours, because that is time that you're on the clock in an 8-hour day. Anywhere else that you go, any job that you're in, I mean, it's an unpaid half hour in most jobs, but we're contractors.
Exactly.
And we're providing a premium service. We're providing a luxury service.
Exactly.
And they're going to want us to be in the best shape we can be in to make sure that they get the best photos that
I
they
agree.
can get.
So that's actually something I need to add in my contract. So thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome. I'm here for you. So, okay. So we've gone through some do's and don'ts. Do you have any other examples? Any other things you can think of?
I honestly, those are really the big ones.
Those are the big ones.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
There's some like minor things, but it's
Right.
like at the end of the day, like it's your wedding. And I tell my clients that I'm like, hey, we don't have to do golden hour photos right now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're happy with what you've seen behind the camera and you're okay with it, then we don't have to. Like, I don't want to take them away from a family moment just because I want photos.
Right.
I let them decide.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, so, okay. So we've talked about some like shit that we don't like. Mm-hmm. What about things that your clients have done that have really made you feel kind of special? Whether that be a gift, whether that be a gesture, whether that be a certain review that you've got, anything like that. What in your career has, maybe what's your number one memory of something a client has done for you that's made you feel special?
I think one of the things that has made me feel special, and this goes across all my weddings, is when the couple just lets me have my creative freedom.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't want to go and shoot behind this building because everybody thinks it looks great, I don't have to go behind the building and shoot that. You know what I mean?
Right.
When the couple gives me the creative freedom to do that.
Yeah.
And
because that makes you feel trusted.
It makes me feel trusted.
Yeah.
And I always hear it. It's like, well, you're, hey, you're the professional.
Right.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the biggest gift in my opinion. And then from that, there is some luxurious things that come from that.
Right.
For example, like, hey, I got the creative freedom I wanted. And not only that, but like they gave me anything I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
They gave me extra stuff to eat and take home a gift. Like all that is,
Bro, there's nothing better. And I will say this to the client. I will say this to any client that might be listening, any potential client that might be listening, anybody that isn't even a client but is going to have a wedding and chooses somebody other than myself or George. One of the best things that you can do for your vendors is send them home with food.
Exactly.
A fucking doggy bag full of whatever the hell you guys ate for dinner. Man, that makes us feel amazing. It carries the magic of that wedding into the next day for us, and it can benefit our families.
Exactly.
Like we can take it home to our partner, we can take it home to our kids, we can take it home to whoever we've got at home, and it really spreads that love, and we really appreciate.
And
that
it's
kind
funny
of stuff.
because one of my missions when I go to weddings is always bring back desserts for Sarah.
Oh yeah, man.
She loves cakes. She loves,
Yeah.
goodies and this
That
and
is
that.
the number one benefit to any partner of a wedding photographer
Yeah.
is to bring you get wedding cake. Like who doesn't want wedding cake?
Exactly.
Bring home wedding cake.
And one of the things that and yeah, we get tips and this and that, but honestly,
Yeah.
like if a client was to be like, hey, we're gonna give you all this food, or would you prefer a tip? I'm like, honestly, dude, tip. I never ever expect a tip because
Right.
my pricing is already high.
Yeah.
My tip is technically included in that. You know
Can
what I
I
mean?
stop you for a second? I'm
Yes.
going to pause you this time.
Yeah.
I want you to know your pricing is not fucking high.
No, you're
It
right.
is not
Compared
high.
to you're
and,
right. You're right.
And if given the ultimatum, like there's a that's a do and don't. Don't give me a fucking ultimatum between leftovers or a tip.
Well, I'm just trying to be, but I hear what you're saying.
The real talk. Like, all right, so we just had a little bit of a technical difficulty.
It's all good though.
It's all good. We're back. So what I was saying is, got to this wedding last summer.
Yeah.
Got to this wedding. Bride was hella late. When she got there, I helped her bring her bags in. She was getting her makeup done. She started her makeup like an hour and a half, 2 hours late.
Dang.
We had to be at the venue at a certain time, obviously, like very, very, very behind.
Yeah.
Always fucking behind. This is weddings.
It is.
It's
It
part
just
of the deal.
is what it is.
But while she was getting her makeup done, like she's in the beginning of stages of getting makeup done, there's really not a lot for me to cover here. I took a couple of shots of her getting it started. I took a couple shots of her bridesmaids hanging around the hotel room. There was a baby there. I took some shots of the baby with one of the bridesmaids. I took shots of the dress. I got all of the shit done that I could do in that moment. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, man, I'm really thirsty. I really want some blah, blah, blah. And so I ran to Target. It was right next door we were out by the airport, ran next door to Target, got some champagne, got some Sprite for her, got a couple of things, made sure that she had everything she needed. I brought it back. They turned up a little bit. They, drank some champagne.
Yeah.
She had her Sprite. So she was like,
is this all on your tab?
Yeah, I ended up covering it. She said, I'll Venmo you or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, don't worry about it. Like, just deal.
You're already paying me $5,000. You're good.
It was, no, I honestly, I'm like on the real.
Yeah.
This client, I gave a really good deal on the wedding. It was kind of a homie. And I gave a really good deal, to them on their wedding package in general.
Yeah.
But it was like, I went to Target and spent $30 maybe. You know, champagne, some Sprite, couple odds and ends. Like that $30 was worth their like creating a better experience for that bride.
Yeah, exactly.
Making sure she's comfortable, making sure that she is not worried about getting these odds and ends that she didn't have time to get. Mm-hmm. Like that to me, for my clients, not for not for Snapper, not for these other contracting companies that we work for. I'm not going to do that shit for them. I'm there. I'm there to take pictures. I'm there to work the 8 hours. I go home. I upload them. I'm done. But for my clients, I will 100% go above and beyond in any way, shape, or form that I can to make sure that their day is as perfect and as like worry free as humanly possible.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, we've talked about a lot. This has been a whole wedding episode.
It has.
We have talked
been a
about
whole wedding
weddings
episodes.
since the first moment. We've had some technical difficulties. We've had some issues.
Everything.
We've had some apple juice.
Lots of apple juice.
Lots of apple juice.
That's okay.
But it was a good episode. It was good to talk to you. I think we should probably wrap it up here.
I think so too.
This is our longest
been,
one so far.
Yeah, it has been.
So, in typical fashion, first of all, one thing that I have not yet said in this episode that needs to be said to the people out there listening to this podcast, to the people out there that are fans of New Wave Media, to the people out there who support us and love us, join the Discord. I need you to click the link below, join our Discord server, help us get this thing rolling. We've got a couple of people.
Like barely any people.
Yo, real talk though, shout out to Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being such a support to us. You are awesome. Shout out to Ben for the feedback on every episode, for watching every episode and letting us know what you think. Shout out to anybody else who is watching and not saying things. Even if you're watching, if you're pulling anything from this episode, we're having a blast. This is our 4th episode. We're having a blast doing this. We've made some mistakes. We're learning from them, and that's okay. We're not beating ourselves up. We are stoked to be here.
We're beating ourselves up outside of these cameras.
Yeah, y'all don't get to see us beat ourselves up. Really, I beat George up, but it's okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. We don't take this.
Somebody call CPS.
We take this seriously.
Child Protective Services, for those of you who don't know.
George needs an adult. We take this shit seriously. We have big dreams and big aspirations for this platform and what we're trying to build here. And we're really thankful for those of you that are along the ride for us. We would love to have you in our Discord. We would love to have you help us build this community. There's a lot more to come. There's a lot of big things to come. We've got people that we want to have on the podcast. We've got some guests coming. We've got some news coming. We've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. So stick with us.
If you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions, like what do you want to listen to? What do you want to hear? Are you a model, photographer, videographer? What would you like for us to dissect?
Yeah.
Because like we're pretty knowledgeable on the things that we're talking about. And it's like, are you a wedding client? You just want to know a little bit more about this, whatever it is, just like, it doesn't have to be on the Discord. It can be on Instagram. It can be on YouTube. It can be on TikTok. Yeah. Whatever it is, like, just let us know. You don't even have to use your real name. Honestly, just whatever. I mean,
if you want to record a clip and disguise your voice and just,
hey, I want to know about.
No, but for real though, we are all about engaging with our community, engaging with our audience, and we want nothing more than to grow this podcast and grow this community to benefit everybody around us as well as ourselves. So that being said, George, where can the people find you?
Go to georgepadillaphotography.com/links. You'll have everything from New Wave Media to my personal website to contact info to YouTube, TikTok, whatever it is. georgepadillaphotography.com/links.
Boom. Beautiful. For me, you can find me at All Love Images, ALLOVE images.com. All of Images on Instagram. Also, if you want to see something a little bit different from what I do for my clients, you can check me out at Wijah Gone Wild, WIJAH, Wijah Gone Wild on Instagram. I think that's it. It's been a pleasure, George. We have had a nighttime episode tonight. This has been a little bit different. This has been fun. I've enjoyed this, and I can't wait until our next episode next week.
I agree.
Awesome.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.